During our visit to Cuba, in which I covered the historic visit by President Obama, Cuban residents were allowed to move around as they pleased. But Cuban residents were forbidden to visit areas where the press was staying, the government-owned Iberostar Parque Central. On Tuesday, March 22nd, the day of President Obama's speech to the Cuban people, we had a crew call for 7 a.m. My producer and I stayed at a casa particular to offset the extremely high cost of the Parque Central, $600 per night. It was located just 3 blocks from the hotel. So we packed everything early, walked to the hotel with our luggage and production equipment, and we were ready to go. Our flight home was scheduled for later in the day, and we weren't able to return to the house. By that time, roads leading to the hotel and the Gran Teatro were blocked by the Cuban Secret Service. The Gran Teatro is located 2 blocks away from the Media Hotel. A line of Cuban people were waited outside to get into the door. We entered at the rear of the building and arrived on the main floor of the theater. Originally known as the Galician Center of Havana, the building is decorated with a stone and marble statue as well as sculptures by Giuseppe Moretti, representing allegories depicting benevolence, education, music, and theater. The marble appearance of the columns is deceiving because they are actually painted to appear as marble. It is far too expensive for the Cuban government to have actual marble columns. The main floor where President Obama spoke to the Cuban people is called Sala Garcia Lorca. The construction of this building, financed by donations of Galician immigrants, began in 1908. It opened in 1915 with an opera session presented by important artists of the period. In 1985, after an initiative by prima ballerina Alicia Alonso, the building was renamed the Gran Teatro de La Habana. Following extensive renovations, the theater reopened on January 1, 2016, and was renamed to honor the Cuban prima ballerina absolute Alicia Alonso. Slowly, the room filled with people handpicked by the government to attend the president's speech. I recognized the duties of several in attendance by the type of uniform they were wearing. Many were doctors and members of the Cuban parliament. People were excited, but their demeanor was calm. A chatter filled the room. A thunderous applause greeted Alicia Alonso when she entered the theater hall. As the prima ballerina of Cuba for as long as I can remember, the ovation was well deserved. 10 minutes later, President Castro walked into the balcony directly above my head. He sat alongside several Cuban dignitaries. He smiled and waved at the people in the hall. Finally, President Obama walked out onto the stage. Everyone stood up and applauded effusively.
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Thank you so much. Please. Thank you very much. To President Castro, the people of Cuba, thank you so much for the warm welcome that I have received, that my family have received, and that our delegation has received. It is an extraordinary honor to be here today. Before I begin, please indulge me. I want to comment on the terrorist attacks that have taken place in Brussels.
After his condolences to the people of Brussels who suffered through a horrendous terrorist attack just that morning, he proceeded to say, "Cultivo una rosa blanca," the name of one of the most famous poems by José Martí. President Obama is the first sitting U.S. president to offer the Cuban people a symbol of peace. By President Obama simply saying those famous words that so many Cubans know by memory, his appearance became cemented in Cuban history.
In his most famous poem, José Martí made this offering of friendship and peace to both his friend and his enemy. Today, as the President of the United States of America, I offer the Cuban people el saludo de paz.
He described the incredible history between the two countries, the many Cubans who crossed the waters between the two countries in pursuit of the better life, the Cuban Revolution which took place when his father came to the U.S., the Bay of Pigs, which happened the year he was born, and the fact that the two countries came extremely close to having a nuclear war.
I have come here to bury the last remnant of the Cold War in the Americas. I have come here to extend the hand of friendship to the Cuban people. I want to be clear. The differences between our governments over these many years are real, and they are important. I'm sure President Castro would say the same thing.
He talked about the things that we share as nations, our blended cultures, Dr. Finley's work to help combat the yellow fever, Ernest Hemingway's home in Havana, our mutual love for baseball, and that you can find places in Miami to dance cha-cha-cha or the salsa, and to eat some ropa vieja.
People in both of our countries have sung along with Celia Cruz or Gloria Estefan, and now listen to reggaeton or Pitbull. Millions of our people share a common religion, a faith that I paid tribute to at the shrine of Our Lady of Charity in Miami, a peace that Cubans find in La Cachita.
President Obama expressed his feelings, saying that the conflict between the two countries failed to benefit the Cuban people over the past 57 years. President Obama emphasized during his speech that an end to the embargo is the only way to help the Cuban people, that the embargo has only hurt the Cuban citizenry.
I've always believed in what Martin Luther King Jr. called the fierce urgency of now. We should not fear change, we should embrace it. That leads me to a bigger and more important reason for these changes. Creo en el pueblo cubano. I believe in the Cuban people. This is not just a policy of normalizing relations with the Cuban government. The United States of America is normalizing relations with the Cuban people. As President of the United States, I've called on our Congress to lift the embargo.
President Obama spoke of his hope for the Cuban people by saying in Spanish, "The future of Cuba has to be on the hands of the Cuban people." One of his campaign promises was to lift the embargo and reestablish diplomatic relations with my homeland. The president fulfilled part of his promise, and I know that the past is painful for many, but the future cannot continue to be uncertain for those left behind in Cuba. I hope that we all come into an agreement soon and move forward to a better future for all. As President Obama said, understanding and listening and forgiveness, that's where progress begins.
They will be able to live with dignity and achieve their dreams right here in Cuba. The history of the United States and Cuba encompass revolution and conflict, struggle and sacrifice, retribution, and now reconciliation. It is time now for us to leave the past behind. It is time for us to look forward to the future together. Un futuro de esperanza. And it won't be easy, and there will be setbacks. It will take time. But my time here in Cuba renews my hope and my confidence in what the Cuban people will do. We can make this journey as friends and as neighbors and as family, together. Sí se puede. Muchas gracias.
Ya quiere